What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Contagious Christianity. We are going to continue our conversation about the importance of you being the type of Christian that when people encounter you, they truly encounter God. When people get close enough to you, that your faith is so contagious that they can't help but want to participate in it. All right, y'all, listen, I hope that you went and watched the first episode of Contagious Christianity. If you have not, then I suggest you go check it out. But not just check it out, make sure you go share with a friend. Now, I left you with the very important question in our last episode of Contagious Christianity. I asked you, are you the type of Christian that needs to be contagious? Because, we got to really ask ourselves that question. Like, do I want people to catch what I got? See, one thing that I think is absolutely true that we got to be honest about is that people aren't just afraid of catching something that is contagious. People are afraid of catching something that is deadly. And when it comes down to our faith and our relationship with God, we are essentially introducing people to life and life more abundantly. See, the good thing about introducing people to Christ is that you get the opportunity to impact their life in a major way. Like, just think about that moment that somebody introduced you to Christ and how much that changed your life forever. As I was going through this whole conversation of Contagious Christianity, I had a conversation with myself. I was like, Christina, you don't want to just be the person who looks contagious or dresses the part or talks the part or just, does church, as we like to say. You want to be the type of Christian that when people encounter you, essentially they encounter God, and you impact generations after generations after generations. Yep, I'm talking about galaxies and light speed ahead generational impact. Yeah, that's the type of impact you want to make in this world that we live in. See, if I was to ask you who has made a lasting impact on your life, if I could just bet, I would assume that it wasn't the top celebrities, it wasn't some big name athlete, it wasn't some politician, it wasn't some millionaire person. I mean, am I wrong or am I right? You know what? Because I was about to say Beyonce, because she gave me my little good dance moves that I got, but that ain't what we talking about. We talking about life. So with that being said, no lies detected here. Yeah, I thought so. I mean, basically, more than likely, you're going to name a family member, you're going to name a teacher, possibly a coach, a church member, a neighbor, somebody who may not necessarily look the part, someone who may not have all the millions in the bank, someone who just is living their everyday life being themselves, but because of who they are, they have been able to impact your life for the good. See, the reason why I said those things is because I want you to understand that you don't have to be the most impressive. You don't have to be the best dressed. You don't have to be the best athlete in the world. You don't have to have all of these statuses just to make an impact on somebody's life. You can simply be you, and God could use you to tell your story in order to change generations that come after you. See, the reason why I say you can impact people by simply being you, the person God created you to be, is because essentially, all of us can pretend to be somebody. Like, it's easy to just look the part of being a Christian. I mean, you could, post a couple of Bible scriptures on your Facebook page. You can probably, post a couple of inspirational words. You can really say some nice things. Oh, you know what I see up and down my timeline all the time when people be sharing Stephen Furtick. Oh, what about that Michael Todd crazy faith? That's a good one too. Okay, my point is that it's easy to play the part, but if you really want to be able to impact people, if you really want to make a difference in this world, then guess what? In order to impact people with your faith, it's going to require you to commit. So here are 3 tips that will help you stay committed as you learn to be the type of contagious Christian that impacts lives for generations after generations after generations. Tip number 1, know what you believe. Check this out. It is so important that we know what we believe. Now, I'm not saying that you have to go to Bible college or you have to have all of these degrees in theology or you have to be some Bible scholar in order for you to share your faith. But what I am saying is that biblical knowledge has to be the foundation of your faith, because there are a lot of moments in your life where, guess what, life is going crazy and you have to go to the Word of God and stand on the Word of God and know what the Word of God says about you to be true. See, Jesus, at the end of his Sermon on the Mount, he made this very profound statement. The Bible tells us in Matthew chapter 7, verse 24 through 27, therefore, everyone who hears the word of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house. Yet it did not fall, because it had its foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash. See, y'all, one thing I know to be absolutely true is that knowledge is power. And so when you actually know the word of God, you are able to apply the word of God. See, because it is so important for us to be what we say, doers of the word of God. Because we understand that when we hear the word of God, we apply the word of God, that it creates a solid foundation for our life. Okay, so hypothetically speaking, let's say that you're a believer, I'm not, and your goal is to convince me to believe. And so you're telling me, you know what, Miss Christina, this is why I have a relationship with God, and this is what I believe, and this is why I believe it. And then look at my life, and I'm like,
hold up, wait a minute.
Like, why would you want me to change my life, and you not willing to change yours? That just don't add up. Listen, you don't think people notice that? Like, people notice when our lives don't align up with what the word of God says. And so that is why it is so important for us to know the word, because when we know the word, we're able to apply the word, and the word of God creates a solid foundation for us. See, what I believe is one of the greatest testimonies that you have is that you have the ability to show people that your life has changed. So when you introduce people to God, not only should you show them what the word of God says, not only should you know what the word of God says, but you got to be like, listen, these are the things that I did in my life, and this is how my life has changed for the good. And I'm telling you, if you try it, God can do the same things in your life. See, because you can tell people about the changes that have happened in your life, and it becomes reality to people. Like, I like to call it this. You have people in your life who are what I like to say are living, breathing testimonies of the promises of God. So essentially, if God does something for them, you look at their life, you're like, you know what? If God can do it for them, then for sure God can do it for me. It becomes a real moment for people. And to be honest, that's what Contagious Christianity is all about. That leads us to point number 2. Number 2, live what you believe. See, knowing the word is one thing, but living it out takes things to a whole nother level. See, the Bible tells us in Matthew 14, you are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before men, that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven. See, I love the line where it says, in the same way, share your light before men so that they will see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven. I love the connection between your participation and how when you participate and you do the very things that God has called you to do, you share your light, how essentially people will see that and they too will want to glorify your Father in heaven. Isn't that amazing? I love it.
Yep, it's amazing.
And this leads us to point number 3. So not only should you know what you believe, you should live what you believe, but most importantly, you got to share it with somebody. All right, so how do you share what you believe with other individuals? I just got a little idea. Why don't we play a little game called
Hello everyone, my name is Jannard and I am your game host for What Do You Know About Jesus? The rules are very simple. I'm gonna ask you a simple question. What do you know about Jesus? Alright, so here we have contestant number 1. I believe her name is, looks here, it says, Sister Bernadette. Yes, Sister Bernadette, come on down to the stage.
Well, hello, everybody. Good evening. I didn't even know I was going to get picked for this game. I didn't even prepare myself for nothing. Just give me a second, baby. I'm coming on down. Yes, I'm going to win today.
All right, Sister Bernadette, are you ready? I'm going to ask you one simple question. What do you know about Jesus?
Now, honey, let me just tell you something real quick. I have been answering this question for years. I mean years. I've been answering well before you was even born and probably doing this little talk show that you're doing. So the answer is just as simple as the question that you're asking. And the answer is this. So what do I know about Jesus? He's all right. I say what you know about Jesus. He's all right. That's your answer. Honey, he is all right with me. And that is my final answer.
All right, cut. That was definitely not what I was expecting, but I think you get the point. The point is, are you prepared to share what you believe? Well, if so, great. And if not, I got a couple of suggestions for you. Suggestion number 1 is your personal experience with Jesus Christ is probably your most effective tool when it comes down to sharing the gospel. You want to know why? Because people can't argue with personal experience. At the end of the day, the more you get to share your story, it gives people the opportunity to see God on a personal level. And they get to see that, if God cares for them in that way, then I know God can care for me too. And once you start sharing your story of what your life was like before you met Christ, and then how once you invited Christ into your life, how your life changed for the good, then guess what? People will gravitate to that message. Young people, I want you to know that God has granted each and every one of you a story, and it is so important that you use it. I believe that God will anoint your words, and I believe that He will equip you in order for you to be confident and courageous to share your story and share the gospel and make an impact on every single person that you come encounter with. And make sure you go ahead and live it out right now. Share it with a friend, and I'll see you guys next time. Holla!